Well, welcome everyone. My name is Crystal Hendrickson, and I'm today's 10 at the Top chat host. I am from Pinnacle Partnership, which is a hospitality development company here in the upstate of South Carolina. We have properties in Greenville and Spartanburg currently, hotels, restaurants, and event centers. I am on the board at 10 at the Top, and I am part of the Strategic Impact Committee. And we are starting a new board year right now. And what we do on the Strategic Impact Committee is help 10 at the Top and our group set initiatives for convening and succeeding as 10 at the Top leaders in the upstate. So we will bring some results to future meetings. So welcome to the June 10 at the Top chat. Many of you have been with us before. We started these in April of 2020 at the beginning of COVID, and it continues to provide a great platform for sharing information from 10 at the Top, and we can do it in a virtual setting. So we can share information and resources for the upstate, sometimes from across all of South Carolina. I do encourage you to put names and organizations in the chat and use this as an opportunity to get to know each other or connect if you like. The format of today will be after my introduction, we will introduce some speakers, and after that, we will do a Q&A. So Dean and I will monitor the chat. I think I put a little message in there, and go ahead and drop anything that you like. And when we get to QA, we'll try to get to everybody. It's been a busy month for 10 at the Top. We've got one event left in June. We have Upstate Downtown Academy. It's on June 23rd in Travelers Rest. I'm really bummed that I won't be there. I'll be at the Hilton Conference, but Travelers Rest is one of my favorite places to visit. Upstate Downtown Academy is an opportunity to hear from leaders in the local community um, on what they have that creates vibrancy within their local community. There's a panel discussion, there's a walking tour. It's a good way to get to know the place and some people, and it's only 35 attendees limited, so it's a little bit more intimate. So there's a couple of spots open, so I do encourage you to register. And let's see, what else do you need to know? We're very fortunate at 10 at the Top to have a generous and very loyal group of funding partners, including Pinnacle Partnership. Thank you very much. In 2026, we added 6 new partners. We've got long-term partners at AFL and Pinnacle Partnership that moved to the leadership level. Hi. Sorry, my puppies are here. They're very interested in 10 at the Top. Let's see if you would like to see on the presentation slide, and we'll also put a link in the chat for the full list of our 100 plus funding partners, and we encourage you, if you're not already, to do it and help us do great things in the upstate. Okay, so welcome. Our topic for today's 10 at the Top chat is workforce innovation and the human touch. And I'm pleased to welcome Carla Gilliam, Assistant Vice President for Academic Affairs at Piedmont Technical College, Matt Wiggins, Dean of Workforce, and Tara Gauntz, Dean of Healthcare. And they will present our program. So, Carla, take it away.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Make sure. Are you all seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you and good morning, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be with you all today. We are very excited to have the opportunity to share what's happening at Piedmont Technical College. We have a lot of momentum right now across our campuses with industry partners throughout our region. And I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot of where we are before we hear from 2 of our outstanding leaders today. First, I want to start with our mission because it really shapes everything that we do here. Piedmont Technical College transforms lives, strengthens communities by providing opportunities for intellectual and economic growth. So at the core, we are focused on access, opportunity, and impact, and really making sure individuals can gain the skills they need while also supporting the broader needs of our communities and employers. One of the key ways that we live out that mission by serving as a workforce development engine within our 7 county service area. So that means we're not just an educational institution, we're a strategic partner in economic and community development. So we're working closely with employers, helping build talent pipelines, and ensuring our programs align with real workforce needs across the region. So what does that really look like in practice? Well, we train and upskill the workforce that drives business and industry across our key employment sectors in our area. It means we're providing relevant, flexible, and responsive training, whether that's traditional programs or short-term credentials or customized solutions for business and industry. We're focused on meeting learners where they are and helping employers stay competitive in our rapidly changing environment. So we recently conducted an economic impact study which highlighted some of the key ways Piedmont Technical College is serving students, supporting our employers, and strengthening our communities. But what I really want to emphasize today most is the scale of that impact. So in a single academic year, Piedmont Technical College generates a total regional economic impact of $349 million. That's $349 million flowing back into our region through workforce development, student success, employer partnerships, and the overall strengthening of our local economy. And that impact doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of being intentional about aligning what we do with our workforce and what they truly need. And that's exactly what leads us to our first speaker for today. To bring this to life, I'm excited to introduce Matt Wiggins, our Dean of Workforce Innovation. Matt is leading the charge and one of the key drivers behind economic impact and our ability to deliver flexible, responsive, and non-credit training that meets employers where they are and helps individuals quickly gain in-demand skills. So Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Carla. So I wanted to kind of begin with when I think about Piedmont Tech and really the technical college students as a whole, I group them into three categories. There's the individuals that come to us with the intent to transfer to a four-year university. We're a little bit of a pass-through. They're coming in, getting their general education done, but we're a gateway to something else. The group that most people think about when they think about technical college students is those that are coming to us looking to gain an associate's degree in a technical field. And that's kind of the bread and butter of what the tech college system is for and who we serve. The population that we as a division in workforce innovation, which effectively is the non-credit side of the college, serves as individuals that are looking to come for very short-term credential or certification. Often these are to enhance the employment that they're already in or can be a catalyst for a new career path. So our trainings can be anywhere from a few days to several weeks, and we'll get into that here more shortly. So Greenwood is our hub. That's base for us. The main campus of Piedmont Tech is in Greenwood. Our specific building is about a mile down the road from main campus, and this is headquarters for us. We're effectively a micro version of the college. So in terms of functions and the things that we do here, we will conduct classes in our building. We will conduct classes pretty much all over the place. So main campus, any of the satellite campuses that were on the previous slide that Carla showed. We will do them at offsite locations like county adult education centers or high school career centers. And then, of course, we will do them on site at companies as well. So wherever the demand and the needs are, that's where we go to get things done. In terms of the types of trainings that we offer, so we kind of package them a couple of ways. One is contract trainings, and that's a little bit of what I alluded to a second ago, where we will work with a specific company to address specific needs for a specific group of their employees. These trainings are going to be customized pretty much all the time. There's occasions where folks will call us and just want something off the shelf for their employees, but for the most part, we're working with them to do an assessment to kind of learn the needs, the learning outcomes, and we will customize and create something that's going to be suitable for them. Those trainings, again, it's a matter of preference for the company. Some want them to be done on site at their location. Others prefer, to minimize distractions, and they'll want to do them at one of our locations. The other type of training that we offer is called public offerings, and that's exactly what it says there. So these are classes that we put up on the website. We create them. They're open for anybody to enroll in, and so the majority of those that we offer are going to be, skills related to employment, just like I mentioned previously. And then we've got a suite of classes that are what we call life and leisure. And these are just personal development. They don't really have anything to do with employment at all, but we get a lot of people just coming on campus for those types of classes as well. And then we're also a certified testing center, which I'll show you a little bit more about here on this next slide. So in our building, we offer a whole host of Pearson VUE tests. Work keys testing is a very popular test that we offer. Many of the insurance agents in the region have come through our building to take licensing exams. Many of them have come more than once. That's a difficult exam. We know some of them on a first name basis coming in and out. Many of the judges in our region have also come to us and taken their magistrate exam. And you'll see, I mean, there's several others there, but it's a diverse, wide array of exams that we offer through our testing center. All right. And so what types of training do we offer through Workforce Innovation? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's move on to the next slide here. So it's a busy slide. I want you to, the couple of takeaways from this, I want you to understand first that this is a small sampling of the types of classes that we offer. This is far from a comprehensive list. You kind of see how we're categorized here. When it comes to our health science and transportation and logistics, those two areas is where we're going to have the most students that come to us looking for a career change. Those classes are kind of geared for that. Occasionally, you'll have people wanting to upskill in those areas. Business and leadership, you get a mix of career changing and upskilling. When it comes to our industrial and safety and environmental, those are almost entirely incumbent workers. We found that the way the labor market is right now, we are getting a lot more people coming for certifications and upskilling, but they're wanting to enhance their functionality and marketability within the industry that they're already in. One thing I mentioned, the labor market. One thing that we're finding under business and leadership, our supervisory leadership trainings have been very popular. There are companies are really investing in retention a lot, and so we are getting a lot of inquiries and doing a lot of good work with companies that are looking to invest kind of in their middle management team to really put attention on retention. So that's a little bit of a mouthful there. And then, of course, I mentioned the life, leisure, and camps. I did not mention this previously, but we offer a host of summer camps as well. We actually have them going on right now in the building as well. One thing to note here, I mentioned this previously, but these classes can be anywhere from a day, if it's a forklift or a CPR training, or probably a semester would be some of our longer trainings. Many of those in healthcare are going to be closer to a semester long. In terms of scholarships, so that's always a big question, like what's available. Pretty much all of our workforce related scholarship or trainings right now have scholarships available for them through SC Wins. And this is money that our state legislature put aside probably 2 years ago, I think, maybe 3 years at this point. And it's been a great thing. It's intended to focus on high demand workforce areas. But one of the things that this has allowed for the first time is consistent funding for non-credit programs. And that's something that has not existed, but it's such an important component of the workforce ecosystem. And so we're very grateful that they have that there is money now set aside that we can utilize for some of the work that we do. And that those scholarships are only for public offering trainings. When it comes to contract trainings, there's a couple other buckets of money, kind of resources that can be used to subsidize training. One of those is through the state technical college system. It's called Retrain SC. The focus here is on manufacturing, processing, warehouse, and technology. And this comes in the form of tax subsidies or tax rebates, I should say. And I think it's $1,000 per person per year, but that's going to be for your production and frontline supervisors of those that are doing the work. SC Nexus is another program that's available for those in the energy sector. And that can be energy providers or those that manufacture products that support the energy sector. And I believe there's $2,000 per individual for those types of trainings. And then our registered apprenticeships, they have a very broad focus. There's a little bit more when it comes to getting people involved with those, but the credentialing that comes with them it's registered through the Department of Labor, and they can transcend beyond South Carolina. I believe the subsidies for those trainings are up to $4,000 right now. And Workforce Pell is a new thing that many of you have probably heard of. If you haven't, you will very soon. I don't know if the feds got wind of what we were doing in South Carolina through SC Winds and thought it was a good idea, but Workforce Pell is going to be, there's going to be federal funding available for short-term trainings, credential type trainings. There's a lot of processes and things we're having to work through with this. It'll be introduced soon. The state will come up with a kind of a list that we're going to launch to begin with, and then more will be added to that, I'm sure, over time. But more to come on Workforce Pell, but you'll begin hearing about it if you have not already. All right, so in terms of our just KPIs, so this is a little bit of our scorecard from last academic year. We're having a really great year. I expect we're going to vastly surpass all this this year. I think we'll be over 2,500 students that we serve. And just for context, that's about a quarter, probably a little over a quarter of the students that come through the college are going to be, workforce innovation students. But with the increased students, we have increased classes, more companies served, more revenue coming in, all the things that go with that. So things are going well. We hope they continue into the coming year as well. And with this slide, I mostly just wanted to kind of highlight that we do collaborate with with the credit side. So as inquiries come in from companies, we will reach out and leverage all the resources that the college has to offer. One thing I wanted to point out on here specifically is we recently introduced a mobile training lab that is equipped with training equipment for mechatronics and machine tool. And one of the things this allows us to do is take some of our technical education out to remote parts of our service area that otherwise wouldn't have access to some of these training opportunities. The other thing that it allows us to do is a flexibility to take it to employers, to specific job locations, indoor industrial parks, those types of things, and to be able to provide training that would not sacrifice travel time or physical production equipment on site. And so it's a great resource. We've deployed it this past year. It's been in Abbeville County for the past several weeks, well, past few months, actually training individuals. It's parked at the Abbeville Adult Ed Center right now. So a lot of good things going on with it, and we're excited to continue to utilize it. And this is my team here. So our office staff is really the battery. They hold they're the glue that holds the office together. Our program managers are the ones that organize and coordinate all the trainings that we do offer. And then our adjuncts are the ones that really make things go. And I know we're well over 50 adjuncts, so we've got a great team of adjuncts, and they are really the ones that make things happen for us. And so, Carl, you can flip over. I never take an opportunity to not promote just the ability for adjuncts. So our only limitation on classes that we offer is do we have teachers? Do we have people that can instruct? And so if you have knowledge, abilities, skills that would be useful if you're a retiree or soon to be a retiree and want to stay engaged and plugged in, please reach out. My contact information will be on the next slide. One thing I neglected to mention that it's worth noting is that and Carly, you can flip, but with the technical college system, we are very respectful of boundaries and territories. And so if you are, in another county in the upstate, if you're in Greenville County, please reach out to Greenville Tech, for opportunities. Spartanburg, you get the idea, but just we are very mindful of boundaries and locations and want to just honor that when inquiries come up. So if it comes to teaching, you can go wherever you want. But if you're a company and reaching out for specific training, please reach out to the college that serves your area first. So with that, Carl, I guess I'll pass the baton back to you, and I know we'll take questions here at the end. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That was a great example of how we are expanding access and responding quickly to workforce needs in ways that truly move the needle for our region. But as we also think about innovation and growth, it's just as important that we don't lose sight of the human side of our work as well. So next we'll hear from Tara Gantz, who is our Dean of Healthcare, who will share a perspective that's especially important right now. So how do we continue to lead and innovate while still keeping people at the center of the work that we do every day? So I will turn it over to you, Tara.
Thank you so much, Carla. I am excited to share this information with you. As with technology, we have seen a vast increase with it, especially on our education side. But I'm going to try to tailor that to the business side of things as well as education. So of all of the slides in this presentation, this one may be the most important. So I want you to think about your own career. I want you to think about the people who made a lasting impact on your life. Chances are you don't remember every policy they followed, every procedure they used, or every piece of advice they gave. What you remember is how they made you feel. You remember the person who listened, you remember the person who encouraged you, and the person who gave you a chance. As AI becomes more integrated into our workforce, this is what we have to protect. Technology may improve processes, but people create experiences. So I'd like for everyone to think about these two questions. Have you ever received an email, a text, or a response that technically answered your question, but somehow felt cold or impersonal? Most of us have. I know I did just this morning, trying to find out a balance on a card that I received from jury duty this morning. I never had a person, I only had an automation. Now think about a time when someone genuinely listened to you. Maybe it was a supervisor, a teacher, a healthcare provider, or a coworker. You probably don't remember every word they said, but you do remember how they made you feel. That's the difference between communication and connection. AI can help us communicate, but only people can create that connection. So what can AI do and what it can't do? I want to be very clear with everyone. This presentation is not anti-AI. In fact, I use AI regularly. So I do want to make that very clear in a disclaimer. AI can help me draft documents. It can organize information. It can analyze data for me and save tremendous amounts of time. Those are incredible benefits of AI. But there are some things that AI simply cannot do. It cannot genuinely care. It cannot understand the emotional weight behind a conversation. It cannot build trust over time. And it cannot inspire people the way another human being can. The real opportunity is learning how to leverage AI while preserving the human qualities that make organizations more successful. So, what happens when we automate too much? Sometimes organizations become so focused on efficiency that they unintentionally create distance. Employees begin feeling like numbers rather than people. Customers feel like transactions rather than having relationships. And students feel like IDs rather than individuals. And that's the last thing that we want to do here at Piedmont Technical College. And I'm sure that that's the last thing that you want to do in your organizations. And when that happens, engagement drops, trust declines, burnout increases. And the irony is that many organizations automate in order to improve performance. But when people feel connected, performance often suffers. And I want to read that again. Organizations automate in order to improve performance, but when people feel disconnected, performance often suffers. If you take away anything today, remember that efficiency matters, but belonging matters as well. So, what does the research show with AI and staying connected with the human population? So, the research across education, healthcare, and business tells a remarkably consistent story. First of all, people want to be connected. That's the number one thing. Employees want leaders who are present, and students want instructors who care. Customers want to interact with someone who understands their need. Technology has dramatically advanced over this past decade. Human needs have not. Humans still want to be seen, people want to be heard, and people want to still matter. And that's why the human element remains so important. So, one of the biggest challenges organizations face right now is setting expectations around AI use. It is not enough to simply allow AI or prohibit AI. We need to teach people how to use it responsibly. And that's kind of what I'm here for today. Now, I am not I don't have my doctorate in AI technology, but these are some of the things that I have seen being a dean over faculty and students in a healthcare organization. Professional communication still matters. Tone matters. Accuracy matters. Accountability matters. And those responsibilities do not disappear just because AI helped draft the message. I often tell people that AI should support your thinking, not replace your thinking. Use it to organize ideas, improve efficiency, or help you get started. But do not let it replace your judgment, your voice, or your accountability. So, for example, before sending an AI assisted email, ask yourself, does this sound like me? Is the tone appropriate for the situation? Have I verified the facts and details? And would I be comfortable owning this message publicly? And those are some very important questions. I know that I've used AI before in drafting an email and I'll reread it. I'm like, that does not sound like me at all. So I have to go back and put the human touch on that email and make sure that I am having that connection when I send that to somebody else. The last question is especially important. At the end of the day, your name is still attached to your work. In leadership, education, healthcare, and business, people notice authenticity. They can often tell when a message feels generic or disconnected. Professional communication is not just about efficiency. It is about trust. It's about clarity and respect. So as we integrate AI into the workplace, we should model communication that is clear, thoughtful, accountable, and human, and always ask the question, does this sound like me? So, what are some human centered strategies that we can use? If AI is going to become a larger part of our work places, then being intentional about human connection becomes even more important. Sometimes the most impactful leadership actions are surprisingly simple: making eye contact, listening without interrupting, recognizing someone's effort, having a face to face conversation instead of sending another email. These moments do not require technology, they require presence. And presence may become one of the most valuable leadership skills in the future. I am always the person who says, have that face to face conversation. So, we're going to have a little bit of interaction today. So, you have to understand that I did this program for this SCTA conference, which is our South Carolina Technical Association. And so, I was actually face to face with my individuals when I did this. But we are going to use the React button. So I am going to call out whether something, or basically a task, and I want you to determine if it can be automated, or if it needs to remain in the human aspect with the human touch. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to use mine as an example with the React buttons. The heart is going to be the human touch. And that's really cool that all those hearts are coming up behind me. And then the other one is going to be the little, oh my goodness. So that's going to be our automated. So when I say the task, I want you to do what the reaction is. Okay, everybody understand? Thumbs up if you understand. Or I'll tell you what, let's do it. Okay, thumbs up, that worked. Fantastic. All right, so the first one that we're going to talk about is delivering difficult news. This would include terminations, disciplinary actions, failing grades, or layoffs. Absolutely. Y'all hit that nail on the head. That is the human interaction that has to remain human. We have to be able to have those face-to-face conversations. All right. What about performance evaluations, coaching, relationship building? Yes, absolutely. That requires the human touch. We have to have those one-on-one conversations. We have to look at those individuals eye to eye. All right. What about data entry, like a repetitive administrative task? Yes, absolutely. You don't know how much joy I'm seeing with all of these reactions. It's just making me so happy. All right. What about a reminder notification of deadlines, appointments, and follow-ups? Yes, absolutely. That needs to be automated, or that can be automated. Doesn't always necessarily have to be automated, but can be automated. All right. What about recognition and appreciation to someone in your workplace? Yes, I would suggest making that a human touch, but this was kind of a trick one. You can also do that automated as long as you're not doing that automated all the time. If you are really busy, but you saw some sort of task that your employee did, shoot them a quick email and just tell them, hey, you did a great job on that. So it could go either way, but don't let that be the only one, the only method that you use for recognition and appreciation. All right, we're going to do one more. What about a meeting summary? Yes, absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. What about drafting your entire meeting summary? Exactly. So again, that's going to go in the gray area. It's like I tell my children when they're writing a paper at school, you're not going to use AI to write your entire paper. You can use AI to check maybe a sentence or two to see if there's a way that you can reword it, or you can check your grammar or something like that, but you're not going to have AI complete the whole task. All right, very good. Y'all did great with that practice. I'm super proud of everybody. All right. So, in closing, I've said it many times, but I'll say it again, and you can always expect more from Piedmont Technical College. Everything we've discussed today reflects our commitment to innovation, workforce development, student success, and service to our communities. We're embracing new technologies, exploring new opportunities, and preparing students for our future. But as we move forward, and as you move forward in your organizations, think about what matters most, and that's people. Whether it's our students, employees, community partners, or employers, relationships remain at the center of everything we do. Technology will continue to change. It changes every single day. The workforce will continue to evolve, as we've heard on Matt's presentation prior to mine. But our commitment to serving people will not. We appreciate you joining us today. We thank you for your partnership, your support, and your belief in the work we do. Together, we are preparing the workforce of tomorrow while never losing sight of the human connections that make the work meaningful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tara. That was such an important perspective, especially as we think how quickly things are evolving in both our workforce and in healthcare. We've talked about how we're driving economic impact and how we're responding to workforce needs. And now, just as importantly, how we stay grounded in the human side of the work that we do. And I know we are about to open it up for some questions, but I did just want to close from our end and say thank you so much for your time and your thoughtful engagement today. You've heard really what reflects a full picture of Piedmont Technical College's impacts, from generating that $349 million economic impact across our region, to responding quickly to workforce needs, to making sure that we don't lose sight of that human element in the work that we do. So that balance is really what allows us to serve our students, our partners, and our communities in meaningful and lasting ways. And as I've said many times, and I'll say it again today, you can always expect more from Piedmont Technical College. What we've shared today is just a snapshot of the many ways we're continuing to bring more to the table for our region. So thank you for joining us, and we sincerely appreciate your continued support. So I think now, please feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat, and I'll turn it back over to Crystal and Dean to help moderate through that.
Thanks, all of you. We're super grateful for all the information. Are there any people that have a question right off the bat?
Well, I'm going to start, Crystal, and while others are thinking, and I want to mention, and I'm glad Matt did as well, we do have a number of educators from both the technical colleges and four-year institutions on this call, and I'm sure many of them have similar perspectives as it relates to AI and the human touch and some of those things. And so as we move into this part of discussion, certainly want to hear from Tara and Matt and Carla, but if any others want to chime in, you're certainly welcome to do so. And my question really was kind of touched on at some level, Tara, in your presentation, but it includes it's a real world experience I had a number of weeks ago with my daughter. My daughter is a rising senior at Converse University, and she is an art major and has done all the classes in graphic design. We've somewhat teased her over the years that even though her preference is printmaking and sculpting and those kind of things, that she needed something that's going to allow her to eat, and that's graphic design. But recently, I was doing some work and needed a logo, and I went on AI and did it in like 5 or 10 minutes. And when she found out, she's like, "Well, Dad, why didn't you ask me to do it?" And certainly, I could have and probably should have, but it would have taken a whole lot longer. And no negative, but I did a back and forth with AI, and it just was so easy. So my question is kind of two parts. One is, there's kind of a fear amongst people in a number of professions like my daughter's, where they're seeing kind of a squeeze where some things are easier done by AI, but yet there is always the need for the human touch. I was trying to do something else on AI yesterday, and it kept kind of it revert back to something I didn't like, and I'd have to redo it 3 or 4 different times, something that with a human you hope is not the case. So how are you dealing with the students who maybe are have a little bit of fear about AI and its potential to overtake things they've studied and plan to do as a career? And then secondly, what would you say to someone like myself who, sometimes if we choose AI instead of a human to do certain things, what are we missing by not having that human engagement?
Well, thank you for that question, and I will try to answer it on the terror perspective and on what I see on the healthcare perspective of that. First of all, I think to answer your question about student programs and education is we have to find a way to integrate AI the right way. How much AI should we use? How do we use that in our programs? And so with your daughter's specific program, that is one that AI does generate a lot of graphic design. So how can they use that AI to elevate their programs more instead of take their programs away, if that makes sense? We're kind of doing the same thing. It's interesting. I had physical therapy this morning, and I was more dressed up this morning than I normally am at PT, and they were asking me about my presentation. And I was talking to them about, what it was about. And they started going over all of the AI integrations that they actually had in their facility. They have integrated a good bit of AI to where it does a lot of the documentation. It is supposed to save them time and efficiency, but they've noticed that there are some incorrect things that get auto generated with the AI. And so they have to be very careful with that. And so, like I said, to answer your question, I think we have to be very intentional how we use AI in our different programs to make sure that our students and then our new graduates are using it appropriately out there in the workplace and not relying on it too much. Did I answer your question?
As best as it can be answered.
Yes.
Well, and I'm happy to hop in here as well. I think there are several areas where, of course, there is some uncertainty of the impacts that AI is going to have on certain professions. I think we can all recognize AI is not going anywhere. So we are trying to ensure that we are training students for responsible, ethical use of AI. And I think back to your scenario, Dee, my son is a graphic communications major as well at Clemson. So we've had similar conversations. And I think one thing that we all need to keep in our minds as well as they're getting the education, they're learning theory, they're learning concepts behind intentionally designing logos or whatever it may be. And so it'll all then go back to the prompt. So me as a person who doesn't understand the theory and some of the concepts that I may need to incorporate in a prompt to generate exactly what I need to do to target a certain population or whatever it may be, where we do have students and graduates and graphic designers who have been trained in that, who may even, training them if they're working with AI, what are the appropriate prompts to get the desired result that you want in the end. So I think having that theory is still important. So can generate things, and maybe graphic communication or graphic design students can generate things as well, but it's still going to take that eye on it to know, all right, does it intentionally include the pieces that I need to have included?
And Dean, from a marketing standpoint, we talk about this a lot with my marketing teams. There was a quote, I don't remember who said it, but someone said that AI draws on the breadth of human art past and cannot go into the future to create new things. That's what humans are for. And you touched on it just a little bit when you were talking about how you had to keep going back and asking it new things between Carla saying, the prompts are the thing, which is 100% correct. But also when you're in a client-facing environment, AI is not going to be able to do those tiny little nuances or grab onto that thing that just doesn't feel right in your logo or your design, and a human can understand kind of what you're trying to say and empathize with that and say, oh, it's really just the curve here is too sharp, and that's what's pulling your eye that way. So that's so interesting. I'm curious to know between the two programs that we talked about with Matt's presentation and Tara's, how do those two things converge over your classes and your workforce development? How do you approach AI, or are there trainings to Carla's point about prompt usage? Like, how do those two things cross over in your two programs?
So I'll quickly respond. So we've got a few AI courses in our suite, and um, I'm not going to be able to drill down into the weeds. Some of like we've got one that's very specific to ISO standards. So it's people that work in the field, and it's like how do you utilize AI to meet all your industry standards for quality, and that's all the ISO 9000 stuff. And then we've got more general classes that would be focused on, it's like AI for supervisors. How do you develop efficiencies in some of your administrative tasks so you can spend more time on the human engagement component that was, alluded to with Tara. Um, but, we as individuals, as my program managers teams, same as probably everybody. We use AI where we can in our daily work uh, to deliver whatever whatever we're doing. But we're in the infancy stages of exploring how to integrate AI practices into a lot of the other trainings that we offer. And so, for instance, what would a project management class look like with a module that was dealing with AI and project management? Those types of questions, and those things are still in development. We're continuously trying to update and keep up with the pace, and that's one of the things that we've got the ability to be pretty nimble in our area, where there's some more layers on the credit side that they have to go through for approvals and that kind of thing.
And I'll just tag on to what Matt said as far as the healthcare program areas that I'm in. We're seeing more AI in the clerical aspect and then in the equipment aspect. Like for instance, we're about to purchase a mannequin who is AI integrated, and it responds to how the student responds, and it will talk to you on based on how the student reacts to those tasks. So it's very interesting to watch. It is basically as realistic as you can have for a patient without having a human lying in the bed. And so that is one way that we're integrating technology into our areas is through that type of equipment. But also with our area, it's still about the human connection. It's still about the human touch. We have to go in there and with every healthcare program, we have to go put our eyes on the patient. We have to hear our patient. We have to listen to our patient. And so we absolutely cannot go straight AI with everything with our area. So that's just kind of a little snapshot of how we use it.
And I mean, we are living in the future, y'all.
We also have one that gives birth, and we have that one. Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming to take classes. All right, so we have a couple of things in the chat. Rita says one thing at Clemson at the graduate level is that we're working to emphasize and build up more durable skills, which is what we're hearing are becoming more important in the age of AI. We're also hearing that employers want employees who understand prompt engineering, to Carla's point. Love that. And how to use it ethically. Ooh, knowing that AI is becoming pervasive but isn't necessarily replacing people at this point. Sally, hi Sally, said, knowing this is still new territory, I'm curious to hear how are educational institutions in our state and country collaborating and having conversations with one another to discover and build best practices for use of AI in ways that are helpful and balanced for students while promoting learning.
I'll
So
just,
are there yeah, go ahead.
I'll just touch from my experience and what we've done with even within the technical college system. Locally here at the college, we've actually pulled together a team that has been reviewing and speaking with other colleges around the state to develop our guideline policy around AI ethical use for students, employees, et cetera. And we're kind of on the front end of getting that work and how we implement it. But across the state and the South Carolina Technical College system, we have peer groups who've been discussing this work and collaborating together, and in education in general, both locally, statewide, regionally, and nationally, there has been a large number of professional development that can bring educators together to collaborate and determine and learn from each other, if you will, instead of trying to recreate the wheel every time.
And we have some other very good comments in the chat by Earl and Tori about kind of what is going on in other institutions and things too. So if you get a chance, folks, you can read that, or Crystal, if you want to talk about it. And then we have a comment or a question from Dr. Staley Abney from PTC. She said she's proud of the policy developed and implemented at PTC. Can you talk specifically about that? You've kind of touched on it without specifically talking about the policy or what that looks like.
Well, I can talk about the development piece. I don't like I said, it's a relatively new policy, and once I have more information, if you're interested, I'm happy to share for anybody who'd like to reach out. But we really pulled together a team that included faculty from different areas of the college, staff from different areas of the college, advisors who are working with students, HR, finance, really every area of the college represented, and it kind of broke that group into two subcommittees. One was really looking at student use, one was looking at employee use. And they pulled together to create that policy, which was recently presented to our president's leadership team. And like I said, I'm not sure, and Dr. Staley Abney, I'm not sure from your perspective if you were part of that team, either Tara or Matt, to give any more specific details. But if anybody's interested in more on that, we're happy to follow up.
Well, I think what I would take out of that is, back to the question that was asked a minute ago by Sally, is the collaboration, and whether it's internally in a company or a college or university or collectively within an industry. I think having collaboration and discussion so that there's some consistency and understanding is going to be really important as we continue to evolve with AI, because as Crystal said, it's not going anywhere, and but it does have limitations. I mean, if I had $1 for every error I've found in things that I've done through AI, I would be in a pretty good place, and we'd all go out to dinner. I mean, it is only as good as the information it's fed. So that may change at some point. I don't know. But for now, it definitely still has guardrails and limitations. And it sounds like you all and I think others in the space are trying to understand, how to make sure that people know that AI is not the be all end all answer. It is a tool to help make things better. And with that, Crystal, if you want to have any more questions or wrap us up, we're getting close to time.
Well, thanks everyone for coming, and thank you so much to y'all for presenting. I learned a lot and I took a lot of notes. and interested, especially in adding process efficiency, AI tools, and prompts to some of our leadership training. So maybe we need to come see Matt. Um, okay, well, I will wrap this up and say that our next 10 at the Top chat is on July 9th. And Robin Knox is our speaker. It's Trust Comes First, the foundation for strong organizations and thriving communities. And I believe Dean put a link right in the chat if you want to click on it. So please do attend for more inspiring and thoughtful conversation. And thank you so much for letting me host and for helping 10 at the Top achieve everything that we hope to do.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll be sending out the link and everything from this chat, and we hope to see you again in July.
Thanks, all.